What if the mysterious interstellar object currently speeding towards Mars isn't just a random cosmic traveller, but a harbinger of humanity's darkest future? A future where our very existence is shaped by forces far beyond our understanding. As we embark on this cosmic journey, don't forget to subscribe and share your thoughts. What do you think 3i Atlas could truly be? A comet, a tool, or something far more profound? The moment 3i Atlas entered our solar system, the astronomical community was sent into a frenzy. It was a sight like no other. At first glance, it seemed like any other interstellar object, a lone wanderer crossing the vast emptiness of space. But as scientists began tracking its trajectory, they quickly realised that this was no ordinary visitor. 3i Atlas, like a shadow creeping across the solar system, wasn't behaving as anything in the cosmos should. Discovered in July of 2025, 3i Atlas was initially assumed to be another typical interstellar comet, just a distant, icy body making its way through the solar system. The scientific community had grown accustomed to these space travellers, the most famous being Oumuamua back in 2017, and the more recent comet Borisov in 2019. They were interesting anomalies, sure, but nothing that would make anyone stop and question the very nature of space. However, when 3i Atlas appeared, all the rules seemed to change. For weeks, astronomers watched as the object approached the inner solar system, first spotted beyond Jupiter's orbit, at a distance where most comets are cold, frozen relics of the universe's past. At this range, most comets are invisible, hiding in the dark recesses of space, dormant until they draw closer to the sun. But 3i Atlas was different. It was glowing, and not just faintly glowing, but shining bright enough to be visible from Earth, even at that far distance. It was like watching a light flicker on in a dark room. For a comet so far from the sun, this was highly unusual. It shouldn't have been this bright yet, and that was only the first sign that something was terribly off. Astronomers soon realised that they were dealing with something far more complex than just a simple comet or asteroid. The object's composition didn't align with any known celestial body. The gases it emitted, analysed by telescopes such as Hubble and the James Webb Space Telescope, revealed a surprising ratio of carbon dioxide, an element far more common in planetary atmospheres than in comets. This discovery raised immediate questions. Why was 3i Atlas carrying such an unusual mixture of elements, and what could that mean for Mars, the planet it seemed to be heading toward? The trajectory of 3i Atlas only added to the mystery. Interstellar objects typically come and go with no real connection to the planets of our solar system. They move randomly, influenced only by the gravitational forces they encounter. But 3i Atlas wasn't drifting aimlessly. Its course was calculated with unsettling precision, aligning it almost perfectly with the orbital paths of Venus, Mars and Jupiter. It seemed as if it was being steered, as though its path had been planned long before it ever entered our solar system. And if that wasn't enough, it became clear that 3i Atlas was about to make its closest pass by Mars at a distance of just 29 million kilometers, a stone's throw in cosmic terms. But here's where things get really strange. The object wasn't behaving like any comet or asteroid we had ever studied. While comets usually develop their characteristic tails when they heat up close to the sun, 3i Atlas wasn't displaying that typical outgassing behaviour. Instead, its movements seemed almost controlled. Observations indicated that it wasn't tumbling through space like an ordinary celestial body. It was moving in a way that suggested guidance or intentional propulsion, like it had a purpose. Could 3i Atlas be more than just a cosmic wanderer? Could it have been deliberately sent on a trajectory toward Mars? As astronomers scrutinized the data, the lines between natural space phenomenon and something more deliberate began to blur. And yet, despite the anomalies, the world waited. There was no rush for answers, no urgency from the space agencies. Why were the most sophisticated telescopes on Earth so quiet? NASA, the European Space Agency, and others had every tool they needed to investigate this object in detail, yet they remained strangely silent. No official updates, no data releases, just quiet, unspoken tension. The public, however, was not so quiet. As the object neared its closest approach to Mars, amateur astronomers, astrophotographers, and conspiracy theorists flooded the internet with images and theories. But amid all the noise, a recurring question lingered. Why the silence from the top scientific institutions? The object's composition, trajectory, and behaviour all screamed that 3 Atlas was no ordinary interstellar visitor. The idea that it might be something else, something engineered, something with a purpose, began to take hold. 3I Atlas was more than just another comet. It was the first sign of something far larger, far more terrifying than anyone could have anticipated. The questions were mounting, and they couldn't be ignored. Was 3I Atlas an advanced craft sent from elsewhere, or was it part of a much larger cosmic plan unfolding right before our eyes? Only time would tell, but one thing was certain: the arrival of 3I Atlas was about to change everything we knew about our solar system, and Mars would be ground zero for the unimaginable consequences to come. As the months passed, the mysteries surrounding 3I Atlas deepened. What initially seemed like an ordinary interstellar object had evolved into something far more perplexing. Astronomers had been eagerly tracking its movements as it neared Mars, but what they didn't expect was the revelation of a baffling chemical signature that would leave even the most seasoned scientists scratching their heads. The analysis of the gases emitted by 3I Atlas revealed an unexpected and unnerving mix of elements that had never been observed in such quantities in any comet or asteroid before. At first, the scientific community believed 3I Atlas was just another comet, a wanderer from the depths of space. Comets are known for their icy composition, consisting mostly of water ice, dust, and a variety of gases that form a glowing tail as they approach the sun. But the data coming back from telescopes around the world was anything but typical. The gases detected in the wake of 3I Atlas were far from what would be expected of a simple comet. Most notably, astronomers found an abnormally high amount of carbon dioxide, a gas that, while common in planetary atmospheres, is rarely seen in such concentrations in cosmic bodies. The presence of carbon dioxide was the first red flag. Typically, comets release a cocktail of gases like water vapour, methane, and ammonia, substances that have long been associated with the primordial building blocks of our solar system. But carbon dioxide? That was something entirely different. Not only was the ratio of carbon dioxide in the mix unusually high, but it seemed to be the dominant gas in the coma of 3 Atlas. This was a clear anomaly, something no one had anticipated. Carbon dioxide is known for its role in sustaining life on planets like Earth, but in the cold reaches of space it was entirely out of place. Why would 3I Atlas be emitting this gas in such vast quantities? The implications were staggering. One of the most chilling theories put forth by scientists was that this chemical signature could be part of a larger orchestrated plan. Was 3C Atlas simply a cosmic object following a random trajectory, or was it in fact carrying a payload designed with purpose? Could the high levels of carbon dioxide be a sign of something more, something with the power to affect planetary atmospheres? After all, carbon dioxide is one of the most important greenhouse gases, and its presence in such abundance could easily be used to alter the atmospheric conditions of a planet, potentially transforming it into a habitable world. Could Mars, with its frigid, barren surface, be the target of such a transformation? The more astronomers studied the chemical mix, the more they began to entertain the unsettling possibility that 3I Atlas was not a random visitor at all. If the object were deliberately emitting carbon dioxide, it could be a crucial piece in a larger puzzle, a puzzle that had been unfolding in the shadows, away from the eyes of the public. The idea that 3I Atlas could be intentionally altering the chemistry of Mars began to take hold. If that was the case, then its presence in our solar system was no longer a mere curiosity. It was a potential harbinger of a much larger, more profound event. But the anomalies didn't stop there. Other gases, such as methane and ammonia, were also detected in the surrounding cloud of dust and ice. These gases, although more common in space, were still unusual to find in such quantities around an object like 3I Atlas. Methane, for instance, is often associated with biological activity on Earth. While it's not entirely uncommon in the cosmos, its presence in such a strange mix of gases raised more questions than it answered. Was 3I Atlas simply a chunk of ice and rock carrying a natural, though unusual blend of gases, or was it something else entirely, something engineered to carry these very compounds? The growing suspicion that 3 Atlas could be a tool, rather than a natural object, was further reinforced by the fact that its chemical composition seemed perfectly suited to alter the conditions of a planet like Mars. If 3i Atlas was indeed targeting Mars, it seemed almost as though it were designed to trigger a process that could radically change the Martian atmosphere. The high carbon dioxide levels, combined with the other chemicals present, could create the perfect storm for initiating a greenhouse effect, one that would heat Mars and possibly release trapped gases from its polar ice caps. Could this be a step in a larger orchestrated plan to make Mars habitable? Was 3i Atlas acting as a messenger of sorts, carrying the key ingredients to transform an entire planet into something capable of supporting life? The idea that Mars could be terraformed by an external force, whether human or alien, was a concept that had been discussed in science fiction for decades. But now, with 3 Atlas making its way toward the red planet, that possibility suddenly seemed less like fiction and more like an impending reality. As scientists continued to piece together the strange chemistry of 3 Atlas, one question lingered in the air. What was its true purpose? Was it a simple cosmic visitor, or was it the first step in a much larger, far more unsettling plan? The object's chemical signature might just hold the answer, an answer that, if true, could change everything humanity thought it knew about the future of Mars and perhaps even Earth itself. When 3 Atlas first entered the solar system, astronomers were quick to track its path, assuming it would follow the usual chaotic, unpredictable trajectory typical of interstellar objects. But as the data started to come in, something strange began to emerge. 3 Atlas wasn't just following a random path. Its trajectory appeared to be almost unnervingly precise, as though it had been designed with intention. In the world of space exploration, where the vast majority of objects move unpredictably through the cosmos, this was nothing short of an anomaly. Comets and asteroids, especially those from beyond our solar system, typically arrive in unpredictable orbits. Their paths are often erratic, influenced by the gravitational forces of nearby planets or stars, and they typically follow the whims of the universe itself. The random nature of these objects is one of the reasons they've fascinated scientists for so long. But 3 Atlas defied that randomness, and the more astronomers studied its course, the more they realized this wasn't just another cosmic wanderer. It was on a path that seemed deliberately calculated. What struck scientists as so peculiar was not just the fact that 3i Atlas was following a calculated trajectory, but how precisely it was aligned with the inner planets of our solar system. Specifically, its path was aimed directly toward Mars, aligning with the red planet in a way that couldn't have been a coincidence. For an object travelling from the depths of interstellar space to find itself so perfectly aligned with Mars, one of the most studied planets in the solar system, was a statistical improbability that demanded an explanation. It wasn't just the proximity of its path to Mars that was so strange, it was the timing. As 3i Atlas moved closer to the Sun, it began to position itself for a flyby of Mars that would bring it within a mere 29 million kilometers of the planet. For context, that's closer than Earth's closest approach to Mars during its own orbits. For an object travelling across the vast expanse of the galaxy, such a precise alignment with a specific planet seemed almost impossible. The odds of an interstellar object not only crossing into our solar system, but also being in such perfect alignment with a specific planet were calculated to be near zero. And yet, there it was. 3i Atlas, heading straight for Mars with unnerving precision. The object wasn't just crossing the solar system as if it had been flung out into space by some random force. No, it was coming to Mars, an encounter so perfect that it felt as though it had been planned all along. This could not be ignored. As scientists sifted through the data, they began to entertain a disturbing thought. What if this wasn't a coincidence? What if 3i Atlas wasn't just a rogue object from the farthest reaches of space, but something with purpose? Its alignment with Mars was too precise to be explained away as chance, and the timing of its arrival was equally uncanny. The trajectory of 3i Atlas seemed to suggest that it was on course to make a significant impact on the red planet. Could it be that this was more than just an object passing through our solar system? Could it be the harbinger of something far more consequential? The concept of a cosmic object aligning so perfectly with a planet's orbit challenges everything we thought we knew about how these wanderers move through space. We have always assumed that objects from beyond our solar system are chaotic, untethered to any particular gravitational pull or path. But 3 Atlas didn't act like any interstellar object we had encountered before. Its path wasn't random, it was deliberate, and it was headed straight for Mars, as if guided by some unseen hand. As the trajectory became clearer, the realization began to set, in that the implications of this object's path were far greater than anyone had expected. 3 Atlas wasn't just a visitor, it was a sign, a messenger from the depths of space, carrying with it the potential to change the course of history. What had once been a far-off possibility in the realm of science fiction now seemed increasingly plausible. 3 Atlas might not be a random wanderer at all. It could be the first step in a much larger plan, one that involved the transformation of Mars, and perhaps Earth's future as well. The more scientists investigated, the more they realized that the path of 3I Atlas was not just improbable, it was unprecedented. Its trajectory could not be ignored, and the alignment with Mars could no longer be chalked up to coincidence. What was once a distant, mysterious object now seemed to hold the key to an unimaginable future, and the question on everyone's mind was, why was it so precisely aimed, and what was its true purpose in the grand scheme of the universe? Only time would tell, but one thing was certain, the course of 3 Atlas was about to change everything. As the world's eyes turned toward 3 Atlas and its improbable course through the solar system, one thing became startlingly clear. Despite the intense global attention, the space agencies tasked with monitoring and studying such celestial phenomena, especially NASA, had fallen suspiciously silent. For an object of this magnitude, whose trajectory alone should have been the subject of countless briefings, public releases and scientific discussions, the lack of transparency was not just unusual, it was downright unsettling. Astronomers and space enthusiasts were eagerly tracking the object's every move, but the official channels seemed eerily quiet. NASA, along with other international space agencies, had all the data, all the advanced technology, and all the resources to study 3I Atlas in real time. Yet, for reasons no one could fully explain, the information coming from these organizations was scarce, carefully curated, and at times outright withheld. Where were the public press releases? Why had no comprehensive updates been given on the object's status, especially as it neared Mars? NASA, the organization that had once made it a point to celebrate every new discovery, seemed reluctant to comment or release raw data about 3I Atlas. Normally, such an object would be a cause for celebration, a cosmic anomaly worthy of the kind of global attention that only a celestial visitor from outside our solar system could command. But in this case, there was none of the usual fanfare, no press conferences, no breakthroughs shared with the public, and certainly no excitement about this once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Instead, there was silence. The European Space Agency, ESA, Japan's JAXA, and other international bodies were equally tight-lipped, and that was perhaps even more troubling. These agencies too had been tracking 3I Atlas with their own, advanced telescopes and space probes. Yet, much like NASA, their statements were few and far between. When they did speak, it was always with extreme caution, providing only the most basic of facts and refraining from delving deeper into the object's strange behavior or the possible implications of its presence in the solar system. The lack of detail and the absence of any definitive answers left a void that could not help but be filled with suspicion. Why the secrecy? Why hold back on releasing information that could potentially shape humanity's understanding of the cosmos and possibly the future of life on Mars? It wasn't as if the object's nature was unknown. Researchers had already confirmed that 3I Atlas wasn't just any comet. Its composition, trajectory, and emissions all suggested something far more complex and deliberate than a random interstellar traveller. If the agencies had this data, and if they were in possession of potentially groundbreaking findings, why were they sitting on it? Some began to speculate that there was a deeper reason for the silence, one that went beyond standard scientific caution. What if the true nature of 3I Atlas was something far more significant, something that the public was not ready to hear? Could it be that the space agencies knew something we didn't? Could the object's strange composition, its unnervingly precise trajectory, and its close approach to Mars be a sign of an impending transformation that they were reluctant to discuss? There was also the question of Mars itself. The idea that 3I Atlas might be influencing or even transforming Mars had been whispered about in the scientific community. Some theorized that the object was playing a role in preparing the planet for something, perhaps a new phase in the planet's evolution or a larger hidden agenda. If 3 Atlas was indeed a tool for terraforming, as some speculated, it could mean that the agencies were aware of a massive world-altering event that was about to take place on Mars. And perhaps, in that case, the silence wasn't just about withholding information. It was about preparing the world for something that, once revealed, could change everything. In a world where transparency in space exploration had become the norm, the refusal to speak openly about 3I Atlas felt like a red flag. Why were the agencies avoiding the kind of public engagement that had characterized past missions? Was it possible that they feared the implications of revealing the truth about 3I Atlas, an object that could rewrite the rules of space travel, planetary science, and even the potential for life beyond Earth? The silence only fueled the growing conspiracy theories. As social media exploded with speculation and amateur astronomers released their own findings, the distrust in official channels grew. People began to wonder, what were the space agencies hiding? What were they not telling us about 3I Atlas? And what was the true significance of its arrival? Behind closed doors, the agencies may have been scrambling to understand 3I Atlas themselves, trying to make sense of its bizarre behavior before they were ready to release their findings. But the longer they remained silent, the more the public questioned whether the truth was being intentionally withheld. Was the object a natural phenomenon, or was it part of something far more calculated, something that threatened to disrupt the very fabric of our understanding of the universe? As the days passed and 3I Atlas continued its approach toward Mars, the question remained, what could be so catastrophic, so groundbreaking, that the world's most trusted space agencies felt it was better to stay quiet? Whatever the answer, the silence surrounding 3I Atlas spoke volumes. It was clear that something much larger than just a wandering comet was unfolding, and the space agencies knew it. But were they ready to share it with the world? Or were they hiding a truth so profound that it could change everything humanity thought it knew about the cosmos and its future on Mars? As 3I Atlas continued its journey through the solar system, it became clear that this wasn't just another comet or asteroid. Its unusual trajectory, strange chemical composition, and the peculiar way it seemed to behave all hinted at something far more extraordinary. But the most unsettling discovery of all came when scientists began detecting strange energy signals emanating from the object itself, signals that could not easily be explained away by natural phenomena. These signals, unlike anything ever recorded from a comet or asteroid, raised a chilling possibility. 3I Atlas was not just a cosmic traveller, it appeared to be something deliberately engineered. The first signs of the object's mysterious energy emissions were subtle, but undeniable. Telescopes trained on 3I Atlas began picking up irregular patterns in the data, unusual pulses of energy detected across a variety of wavelengths. These were not the faint scattered emissions typical of comets, where gases interact with solar radiation to create a faint glow. Instead, these pulses appeared to have a structured, almost mechanical quality to them, as if they were deliberately being generated. The question began to form, could 3I Atlas be emitting these signals on purpose? As the object moved closer to the inner solar system, the frequency and intensity of these energy emissions increased. Scientists with access to the most sophisticated instruments, including those on the James Webb Space Telescope and the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, were quick to analyze the data. What they found was deeply unsettling. The signals didn't just suggest some cosmic anomaly, they were eerily similar to the kinds of transmissions that would be expected from a piece of advanced technology. It was as though 3I Atlas was actively broadcasting something, a signal, a message, or perhaps even a beacon. This was no ordinary interstellar visitor, and the more they examined it, the more it became apparent that the object had been designed, or at least influenced, by intelligence. The nature of these signals was not the only strange thing about 3I Atlas. The object itself appeared to behave in ways that seemed too precise to be natural. As it moved through the solar system, its path didn't simply follow the whims of gravity and the chaotic forces of space. Instead, it appeared to be navigating itself, adjusting its trajectory in ways that couldn't be fully explained by the standard laws of physics. This wasn't just an object on a wild, random journey. It was as if 3I Atlas was being steered, guided through space as if it were a spacecraft on a mission. But the idea of a spacecraft, an artificial object from another civilization, seemed too far-fetched. Or did it? The signals detected from 3I Atlas were not random. Instead, they were repeating in a pattern that resembled a form of communication. Some researchers suggested that these pulses were simply the result of the object's interaction with solar winds or electromagnetic fields, but the regularity and complexity of the signals made such an explanation less and less convincing. If 3 Atlas was not a natural object, then what was it? Could it be a probe, a piece of technology sent to study our solar system? Or was it something even more extraordinary, an object deliberately placed in our solar system by an intelligent civilization? For the first time, scientists began to entertain the possibility that we were witnessing the arrival of something that was not just passing through space, but had a purpose. The idea that 3 Atlas could be a tool, a probe, or even a signal from an advanced civilization began to take hold. This wasn't simply a piece of cosmic debris, it was a message, and it was coming for us. The more the data poured in, the more difficult it became to dismiss the idea that this object was anything other than intentionally designed. What could this mean for Mars, which seemed to be the object's primary focus? If 3i Atlas was indeed sending signals, perhaps it was guiding itself toward the planet for a reason. Was it coming to make contact, to observe, or, more unsettlingly, to prepare Mars for something? If it wasn't just a random space rock but an object with purpose, then it might be part of a much larger plan. The possibility that 3i Atlas was a precursor to some larger cosmic event, or even a form of advanced terraforming, began to seem increasingly plausible. The idea that 3 Atlas was not merely a natural object but rather an engineered tool raised far more questions than answers. Was it part of a much grander design? Who or what was behind its creation? Was this the first step in humanity's contact with an intelligence far beyond our understanding? And if so, what were the consequences of its presence in our solar system? As the mystery of 3i Atlas deepened, one thing became clear. This object was far more than a celestial anomaly. It was a carefully crafted message, or perhaps even a warning sent from the depths of space. Whatever its purpose, one thing was certain. The arrival of 3i Atlas was about to shake humanity to its core, and the truth behind its hidden power would likely redefine everything we thought we knew about the universe. As 3i Atlas continued its journey through the solar system, scientists were drawn to one peculiar aspect of the object's composition that couldn't be ignored: the abnormally high ratio of carbon dioxide it seemed to carry. In the early days of its observation, astronomers and researchers were quick to notice the unusual chemical signature surrounding the object, but it wasn't until the object came closer that the full significance of this discovery became clear. Carbon dioxide is a gas we are all familiar with, particularly for its role in Earth's climate systems, but the presence of such a high concentration in a celestial body was nothing short of baffling. In a typical comet, the gases released are mostly water vapor, methane, and ammonia, simple molecules that are common in the cold reaches of the solar system. Carbon dioxide, however, is a far more complex compound. On Earth, it's one of the primary greenhouse gases, responsible for trapping heat in our atmosphere and influencing climate change. On Mars, it plays a central role as well, though its impact is far less pronounced due to the thin atmosphere. But what would happen if an object like 3i Atlas, with its unusual carbon dioxide ratio, released this gas into the Martian atmosphere? The possibilities were chilling. Scientists quickly began to ask why 3i Atlas, a comet from the depths of interstellar space, would be carrying such a peculiar chemical mixture. Could this high concentration of carbon dioxide be a deliberate act, part of a greater mission to influence the environment of Mars? The object's trajectory, which appeared to be so perfectly aligned with the red planet, only deepened these suspicions. Was it possible that 3i Atlas had been designed or manipulated to carry this gas to Mars? If so, what was its purpose? The answer, or at least a potential answer, was terrifying. The presence of such a high concentration of carbon dioxide on Mars could have profound effects on the planet's atmosphere. Mars, as we know, is a barren, frigid world, its atmosphere so thin and uninhabitable that liquid water cannot exist on the surface for long. But carbon dioxide, when released into an atmosphere under the right conditions, can act as a powerful greenhouse gas, trapping heat and gradually raising the planet's temperature. In the right quantities, it could begin to kickstart a process that might radically change the Martian environment, a process known as terraforming. Imagine, for a moment, the scale of the impact. Mars, for all its desolation, holds the potential for life. It has ice at its poles, and traces of ancient riverbeds suggest that it may have once been warm enough to support a thriving ecosystem. If 3I Atlas's carbon dioxide were released into the Martian atmosphere, it could create the conditions necessary to melt the planet's polar ice caps. As the ice melts, the frozen carbon dioxide locked away in the ice would be released into the atmosphere, creating a feedback loop that would cause even more heating, potentially thickening the atmosphere and allowing for a more Earth-like climate. Could this be what 3I Atlas was carrying, an artificial payload designed to trigger the very process that might transform Mars into a habitable world? While some scientists dismissed the idea of such an event occurring as science fiction, the more they analysed the data, the more plausible it seemed. The possibility that an object from outside our solar system could play a role in altering the Martian atmosphere was staggering. If this was the purpose of 3I Atlas, the implications were monumental. Mars, once thought to be a dead world, could be on the cusp of a dramatic transformation. The carbon dioxide released by 3I Atlas could ignite a slow but steady warming process, one that would gradually bring the planet back to life. It would take centuries, possibly millennia, but the process could be underway. But there was more at stake here than simply the fate of Mars. The arrival of 3I Atlas and its cargo of carbon dioxide raised questions about the forces guiding these events. Who, or what, would want to transform Mars, and why? Was this some kind of cosmic intervention, a planned event orchestrated by a civilization far more advanced than our own? Or was it a natural phenomenon that just happened to cross the path of the Red Planet? The more scientists looked into 3 Atlas, the more it seemed like this was no ordinary comet. It was a catalyst, a harbinger of change, and the carbon dioxide ratio was its key. For now, the questions outnumbered the answers. But one thing was clear: 3 Atlas was not just a visitor passing through our solar system. It was carrying with it the potential to change the course of history, not just for Mars, but for humanity's place in the cosmos. What was once thought to be an inhospitable world could soon be on the brink of a transformation, one that could challenge everything we thought we knew about life, the universe, and our future. As 3 Atlas drew closer to Mars, its true purpose remained shrouded in mystery. But with each passing day, the likelihood that this object was part of a much larger cosmic plan grew harder to ignore. Mars has captivated humanity for centuries, ever since we first gazed at its reddish glow across the night sky. For millennia, it's been the subject of myths, dreams, and scientific speculation. Could there be life on Mars? Could we one day call it our home? These questions have driven exploration and study, but the answers we've uncovered have been both tantalizing and tragic. What if Mars was once a thriving world, full of life and potential, only to lose it all in a cataclysmic event? And what if 3I Atlas, the interstellar object now on a collision course with the Red Planet, holds the key to reigniting that ancient spark of life? When we look at Mars today, it is a barren, lifeless world. Its surface is a desolate desert of red dust and rocky plains, the air so thin and cold that it's impossible for liquid water to exist for long. Yet, despite the harsh conditions, there is something in the Martian landscape that hints at a much different past, one where the planet may have been warm enough to support life. Ancient riverbeds, dried-up lakes, and signs of volcanic activity suggest that, billions of years ago, Mars wasn't always the frozen desert it is today. It had an atmosphere, liquid water, and the kind of environment that could have supported microbial life. The evidence of Mars' once thriving atmosphere is hidden in plain sight. Scientists have long theorized that Mars was once a much warmer planet, with a thick atmosphere capable of supporting rain and stable bodies of liquid water on its surface. Studies of Martian geology have revealed ancient channels carved by flowing water and the remnants of what might have been vast lakes or oceans. Images captured by rovers like Perseverance and Curiosity have uncovered signs of minerals that only form in the presence of water, clays, sulfates and carbonates, each one telling the story of a time when the planet was far more hospitable than it is today. But what happened to Mars? Why did its atmosphere and water disappear, leaving the planet as a frozen shell of what it once was? Theories abound, but the most widely accepted explanation points to a catastrophic event. Early in its history, Mars may have had a strong magnetic field that protected its atmosphere from the solar winds, similar to how Earth's magnetic field shields us today. but something caused that magnetic field to collapse. Without that protective shield, the solar winds began stripping away the Martian atmosphere slowly but surely. The planet's once warm climate became cold and inhospitable, and its once lush surface dried up. The liquid water that once flowed freely on Mars slowly evaporated into space, leaving behind only frozen ice at the poles and underground. In this frozen wasteland, life would have struggled to survive. If any life had ever existed on Mars, it would have been confined to the sheltered nooks of the planet's environment, clinging to the last remnants of water and warmth. As the planet's atmosphere continued to thin, those last pockets of life would have been snuffed out, leaving Mars a barren, lifeless rock. Now, millions of years later, 3I Atlas is on its way to Mars, carrying with it a chemical signature that could change everything. If the object's carbon dioxide-rich payload is released into the Martian atmosphere, it could act as a catalyst, a trigger for a process that might begin to revive the red planet. The release of carbon dioxide could spark a greenhouse effect, one that might slowly begin to warm the planet once more, releasing trapped gases and melting the polar ice caps. Over centuries or even millennia, this could lead to a thickening of the atmosphere and the potential for liquid water to once again flow across the Martian surface. Could 3I Atlas be the catalyst for Mars' rebirth, the spark that ignites the process of terraforming and makes it habitable again? The idea seems almost too incredible to fathom, but the evidence from our own planet suggests that it might be possible. Earth's own history has shown us how planets can undergo dramatic changes over time, how life can arise in even the harshest environments, and how that life can alter the very climate of a planet. If Mars once supported life, perhaps it could again. But is it too late? Has Mars been dead for so long that no amount of chemical intervention could bring it back? The challenges of terraforming a planet are immense, and the odds of success are far from guaranteed. Even if 3I Atlas does manage to release the necessary gases to warm the planet, the process would take time, likely far more time than any human observer would see. And even then, there's no guarantee that life could thrive again on Mars. The planet's surface is hostile to life, and its thin atmosphere may never be thick enough to sustain the complex ecosystem needed to support human life, let alone the life forms that might have once flourished there. Despite these challenges, the possibility that 3I Atlas could be the key to unlocking Mars' ancient potential is one that can't be easily dismissed. For centuries we've looked to Mars with longing, wondering if it once harboured life and whether it could ever support life again. Now, with the arrival of 3I Atlas, that dream could be closer than ever to reality, or it could be an impossible wish that was never meant to come true. Whatever the outcome, one thing is certain. Mars's mysterious past is about to collide with the future, and 3 Atlas might be the spark that ignites that cosmic transformation. The question remains, will Mars awaken, or is it too far gone? Mars, the red planet, has long been seen as a potential second home for humanity. Its barren, lifeless surface, with its thin atmosphere and freezing temperatures, makes it an unlikely candidate for habitation. Yet, the dream of terraforming Mars, a process that could transform it into a warm, habitable world, has captivated scientists, visionaries, and explorers for decades. The question isn't whether it can be done, but how. And as 3I Atlas hurtles toward Mars, its arrival may be more than a cosmic coincidence. It may be the catalyst for a new era in planetary transformation. Terraforming in its essence is the process of altering a planet's environment to make it suitable for human life. For Mars, this would mean thickening its atmosphere, raising temperatures, and possibly creating stable bodies of liquid water on its surface. In theory, this could be done by introducing gases like carbon dioxide and methane to the Martian atmosphere, which would trap heat and begin to warm the planet. But the process is far from simple. Mars' atmosphere, as it stands, is only about 1% the density of Earth's, and it is mostly composed of carbon dioxide, but in a form that is too cold and thin to sustain life. The biggest challenge in terraforming Mars is creating enough pressure and warmth to allow liquid water to exist on the surface, which is essential for life. This is where 3I Atlas comes into play. As scientists observe the object's strange behaviour and chemical composition, the possibility emerges that 3I Atlas could play a role in kick-starting Mars' transformation. With its high concentration of carbon dioxide, the object could be the key to releasing the very gas needed to trigger a greenhouse effect on Mars. As 3 Atlas approaches the planet, the question arises, is it possible that the object itself is a terraforming tool designed to deliver the necessary elements to begin the long process of making Mars habitable again? The idea that 3I Atlas could be a tool for terraforming is far from far-fetched. When you look at the object's trajectory, perfectly aligned with Mars, and its chemical payload, it begins to feel less like a coincidence and more like a carefully planned intervention. If 3I Atlas were to release its carbon dioxide payload into Mars' atmosphere, the gas would begin to trap heat, slowly warming the planet. The ice at the poles of Mars, which holds vast amounts of carbon dioxide, could begin to melt. This would release even more gas into the atmosphere, creating a feedback loop that could cause the planet's temperature to rise over time. In addition to carbon dioxide, other gases such as methane and water vapor would be essential to the terraforming process. These gases help to enhance the greenhouse effect, creating a more stable and breathable atmosphere. If 3I Atlas is carrying a mix of these gases, as some researchers suspect, it could be the first step in an incredibly complex process that might take centuries or even millennia. But the key is in the timing. If 3I Atlas is, in fact, a catalyst, its arrival could be the beginning of a chain reaction that slowly changes the Martian environment. The potential for 3I Atlas to serve as a terraforming tool raises fascinating questions about its origins and purpose. Was this object sent by an advanced civilization with the goal of preparing Mars for habitation? Or could it be the result of natural forces that have shaped Mars over eons? Regardless of its origins, the fact remains that 3I Atlas is carrying exactly what is needed to jumpstart the process of transforming a dead world into one that might one day support life. The question now is whether the carbon dioxide it carries will be enough to tip the balance in favour of terraforming, or whether it will be just another cosmic event that passes without making the kind of lasting impact needed to bring Mars back to life. As we look to the future, the idea of terraforming Mars becomes less a fantasy and more a realistic possibility. Technologies exist, albeit in early stages, that could one day help us artificially manipulate a planet's atmosphere. Ideas such as the use of giant solar mirrors to reflect sunlight onto the poles of Mars or the creation of greenhouse gases through industrial processes have all been proposed. But these methods are costly, complex, and at best, still theoretical. 3 Atlas, on the other hand, may offer a shortcut, a natural, perhaps even intentional tool that could make Mars habitable far faster than we ever imagined. If 3 Atlas is indeed part of a grand design to terraform Mars, it could mark the beginning of humanity's most ambitious and profound project yet, turning Mars into a second home for Earth. The process of transforming an entire planet's atmosphere would be a monumental achievement, one that would not only challenge our scientific understanding, but would also pave the way for humanity's survival beyond our home planet. For the first time in history, we might be able to look to the stars and see more than just distant points of light. We could see new worlds, new homes, and new possibilities for the future of our species. And so, as 3I Atlas hurtles toward Mars, the fate of the red planet may be in its hands. Is this the moment when Mars finally awakens from its long slumber, or is it simply the beginning of a much longer journey toward a future we can only dream of? Whatever the answer, the arrival of 3I Atlas could mark the beginning of a new era, one where the impossible becomes possible and a dead world is reborn. Mars has always fascinated humanity. For centuries, it has been the object of both scientific inquiry and imagination, its red, dusty surface a constant reminder of what might be possible in the search for life beyond Earth. But despite our fascination with the red planet, its reality has been one of harsh, unyielding conditions. With a thin atmosphere, no liquid water on its surface, and freezing temperatures, Mars has been anything but welcoming. However, hidden beneath this inhospitable exterior lies the tantalizing possibility that Mars may have once been a thriving, life-sustaining world. Could it have supported life in the past? And more importantly, could it one day do so again? The key to Mars' future lies in its transformation, a process known as terraforming. Terraforming is the deliberate modification of a planet's environment to make it habitable for human life. For Mars, this would require a massive effort to thicken its atmosphere, warm its surface, and make water a permanent fixture once more. While the concept of terraforming has long been relegated to the realm of science, fiction, recent advancements in technology have brought it into the realm of possibility. The question now is not whether Mars could be terraformed, but how. What forces or technologies could make this radical transformation a reality? And what role might 3I Atlas, the mysterious interstellar object making its way through our solar system, play in this process? 3I Atlas may be the unexpected catalyst needed to jumpstart Mars' transformation. The object's composition, which contains an abnormally high concentration of carbon dioxide, could serve as the key to unlocking the process of terraforming. On Earth, carbon dioxide is one of the primary greenhouse gases responsible for warming the planet. When released into an atmosphere, carbon dioxide traps heat, creating a warming effect that could, over time, melt ice and trigger a cascade of changes. The carbon dioxide present in 3I Atlas could be precisely what Mars needs to begin its gradual transformation into a habitable world. The timing of its arrival is uncanny. As the object approaches the red planet, scientists are left to wonder if this object, with its unique chemical mixture, was placed intentionally on a course toward Mars, or if it is merely a random event in the cosmos. If 3I Atlas were to release its carbon dioxide payload into the Martian atmosphere, it could set off a chain reaction. As the gas enters the atmosphere, it would begin to trap heat, slowly raising the temperature of the planet. The ice at the poles, which contains large amounts of carbon dioxide, could begin to melt, releasing more of the gas into the atmosphere. This process, known as the greenhouse effect, would continue, slowly thickening the atmosphere and raising temperatures. Over time, the surface of Mars could warm enough to allow liquid water to form, the key ingredient for life as we know it. But the process of terraforming isn't as simple as just adding carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. For Mars to become truly habitable, its atmosphere would need to be thickened enough to allow for a stable, long-term environment. Scientists have proposed a variety of methods to accelerate this process, such as creating artificial magnetic fields to protect the atmosphere from solar wind, or using large-scale solar mirrors to direct heat toward the planet. However, these methods are still theoretical and face immense technological challenges. 3I Atlas, on the other hand, might be an unexpected shortcut, a natural force that could set the stage for the long-term transformation of Mars. Could 3I Atlas be an intentional tool designed to terraform Mars? This theory raises fascinating questions about the object's origins. Is it a piece of cosmic debris that happened to pass through our solar system? Or is it a deliberate intervention from a civilization far more advanced than ours? The idea that 3I Atlas could be a probe or a tool specifically engineered to make Mars habitable adds an unsettling layer of mystery to its presence. If this is the case, then its arrival may be part of a much larger unseen plan. A plan to not only transform Mars but to reshape the future of humanity itself. As humanity faces the growing challenges of climate change, overpopulation, and dwindling resources, the idea of a second home on Mars has never seemed more urgent. If 3I Atlas is indeed the first step in the terraforming of Mars, it could represent the beginning of an extraordinary new chapter in human history. The technology to transform an entire planet is still in its infancy, but 3I Atlas may provide a rare and unexpected opportunity to accelerate that process. The arrival of 3I Atlas might be the key to unlocking Mars's potential, allowing humanity to one day call the Red Planet home. The notion that a cosmic object, seemingly random and alien, could be the first step in making Mars habitable raises profound questions. Is 3I Atlas simply a natural phenomenon passing through our solar system? Or is it something much more intentional? Could it be the beginning of a long-awaited transformation, or the catalyst for something far beyond our comprehension? Whatever the answer, one thing is certain: Mars' future is no longer a distant dream. With 3I Atlas on its way, the possibility of terraforming Mars is closer than ever before, and the potential to reshape an entire planet is within our reach. Whether it's a natural event or part of a grand design, 3I Atlas could be the key to humanity's next great adventure. For centuries, the ancient Sumerians have captivated the imagination of scholars, their once thriving civilization leaving behind mysterious records etched in stone. Among the most puzzling of these artifacts are their prophecies and mythological accounts, which speak of celestial beings arriving from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius. This cosmic reference, seemingly a part of Sumerian lore, has long been dismissed as mere myth, a reflection of ancient peoples' attempts to explain the cosmos through storytelling. But as 3I Atlas, the interstellar object making its way toward Mars, approaches, the eerie coincidence between the Sumerian prophecies and modern events can no longer be ignored. Could the ancient civilizations have known that such an event was coming? Could 3i Atlas be part of a grand cosmic design, one that predates our very understanding of the universe? The Sumerians, known for their advanced knowledge of mathematics, astronomy and engineering, were keen observers of the stars. They charted the heavens with remarkable precision, giving rise to the earliest known constellations. In their ancient texts, the Sumerians spoke of gods who came from the stars, beings who travelled from distant realms to influence human civilization. These sky gods, as they were called, were said to have originated from the constellation Sagittarius, a region of the sky that holds deep significance in both ancient and modern astronomy. What's most unsettling about these ancient accounts is that Sagittarius is exactly where 3i Atlal has come from, aligning perfectly with the coordinates that were written down millennia ago. The Sumerian tablets describe the return of these beings every 3,600 years, suggesting that their arrival was not a random event but part of a larger cyclical cosmic pattern. This interval of 3,600 years, deeply ingrained in Sumerian mythology, was marked by the appearance of these celestial visitors who would arrive at a specific time in history to fulfill their purpose. The coincidence is staggering. In 2025, 3i Atlas, an object of unknown origin and strange characteristics, enters our solar system from the very region of space that the Sumerians once described as the home of the gods. Could 3i Atlas be the long-anticipated return of these celestial beings, or perhaps an object associated with them? The connection between the ancient Sumerian prophecy and the modern discovery of 3i Atlas raises more questions than answers. The Sumerians described their gods as powerful beings who possessed advanced technologies far beyond the capabilities of the people they encountered. These gods were said to have come to Earth to mine precious resources, conduct experiments, and even genetically manipulate early humans to create a labor force. If 3i Atlas is indeed linked to these ancient beings, then its arrival may not be a simple cosmic coincidence. Could it be that the Sumerians, with their sophisticated understanding of the stars and the cosmos, had knowledge of events that were to unfold thousands of years after their civilization fell? What makes this theory even more compelling is the fact that 3i Atlas is not a typical comet or asteroid. It is an object that appears to have been deliberately placed on a trajectory that aligns with Mars, suggesting that it may be part of a larger plan, perhaps even one initiated by the beings the Sumerians spoke of. The strange energy emissions and unexplained chemical composition of 3i Atlas have led some scientists to speculate that it might be a probe, a tool, or a message from an advanced civilization. If 3i Atlas is a deliberate artifact, could it be that this object is tied to the return of the Sumerian gods, who, according to ancient texts, are set to return at a time when humanity is ready to interact with them once again? While many might dismiss this theory as fantastical, the alignment of 3i Atlas with the ancient prophecies cannot be easily explained away. The Sumerians, with their deep understanding of the cosmos, may have known something that we are only beginning to grasp. The possibility that 3i Atlas is not just an object passing through our solar system, but a carefully placed messenger or tool to initiate a greater cosmic event, is a theory that demands attention. If the ancient Sumerians had access to knowledge that we are only now discovering, could it be that 3i Atlas is part of a plan that spans millennia, a plan that may finally be unfolding in our time? As 3i Atlas draws closer to Mars, the parallels between ancient prophecies and modern events grow ever more striking. If the Sumerians were right, and these celestial beings are indeed returning, the world may be on the cusp of a revelation that could alter humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. Whether or not 3i Atlas is the messenger of these ancient gods remains to be seen, but one thing is clear. The ancient and the modern are colliding in a way that is too uncanny to ignore. Could 3i Atlas be the fulfillment of an ancient prophecy, the harbinger of a new chapter in human history, or perhaps even the key to unlocking the mysteries of our own origins? As the object approaches, the answers may be closer than we think. For centuries, Mars has been humanity's ultimate frontier. The dream of colonizing the red planet, of making it a second home for Earth's ever-growing population, has driven some of the most ambitious space missions of the modern era. We've sent rovers to its surface, orbiters to map its terrain, and astronauts have dreamed of one day walking across its dusty plains. But what if that dream is no longer ours to claim? What if, as the terraforming of Mars begins, the planet is not destined to be the new home for humanity, but instead the domain of something, or someone, else? The process of terraforming Mars has already begun, though not in the way many people might expect. While humanity has long talked about transforming Mars into a habitable world by warming its atmosphere and introducing gases like carbon dioxide to trigger the greenhouse effect, the arrival of 3 Atlas has thrown a wrench into those plans. With its strange chemical mixture, including high levels of carbon dioxide, and its perfectly timed approach to Mars, 3I Atlas could be the catalyst that accelerates the planet's transformation into something unrecognizable. But who or what controls that transformation? As Mars begins to warm, its atmosphere thickens and water starts to flow across its surface once more. The question arises, who will hold the keys to the red planet's future? For decades, the answer has been simple: humans. We would be the ones to transform Mars, to build cities, colonies, and civilizations. But what if Mars is already under the influence of something far more powerful, far more ancient than anything humanity has ever encountered? As 3I Atlas continues its journey toward the red planet, its role in this cosmic drama becomes increasingly clear. The object is not just a random visitor. It may be the first step in a much larger plan, one that goes beyond human ambitions. Could it be that Mars, a planet we've long considered a potential home, is actually part of a larger cosmic design, one that humans are not meant to control? There are several possibilities to consider. The most straightforward is that 3I Atlas is part of a deliberate plan by an advanced civilization, perhaps one that has been observing our solar system for millennia. The object's strange trajectory, its precise alignment with Mars, and its potential to release gases that could terraform the planet all point to the idea that it is not a natural event but a carefully orchestrated intervention. If this is the case, then the terraforming of Mars may not be intended to benefit humanity at all. Instead, it could be the first step in preparing Mars for the arrival of another species, one that has the technology and the power to take control of the planet. There is also the possibility that 3I Atlas is part of a larger cosmic network, a piece of technology designed to influence the fate of Mars and other planets in our solar system. Perhaps Mars was never meant to be a human colony, but rather a strategic asset in a much larger galactic chess game. If such a network exists, then humanity may be little more than an uninvited guest in the unfolding drama. Our ambitions to colonize Mars could be part of a larger plan to prevent us from claiming the red planet as our own. If 3I Atlas is indeed part of a cosmic plan designed to terraform Mars, the implications are staggering. For centuries, humans have assumed that we are the masters of our fate, that our destiny lies in the stars, and that we are the only species capable of shaping the future of our solar system. But if Mars is already under the control of forces beyond our understanding, it raises the uncomfortable question: what if we are simply players in a game we didn't even know was being played? The idea that Mars might be beyond our control isn't just a matter of extraterrestrial intervention. It could also be a matter of earthly politics. As nations race to claim dominance in space exploration, the battle for Mars has already begun on Earth. Governments, corporations, and private entities are all vying for the resources, the technology, and the influence needed to establish a permanent presence on Mars. But as the planet begins its slow transformation, it may become clear that the real power lies not in the hands of those who can build the most advanced spacecraft or the largest colony, but in those who can manipulate the planet's atmosphere, its resources, and its very future. Mars, once seen as a barren, lifeless rock, could soon become a battleground for control, not just between Earth's nations, but between humans and the unknown forces that may already have their sights set on the red planet. As we move closer to the reality of Mars terraforming, the question remains: will humans be the ones to shape its future, or will we find ourselves caught in a much larger struggle, one that we are not prepared for and cannot control? In the end, the terraforming of Mars could be the most significant event in human history. But whether it becomes a new home for humanity, a domain for some unknown cosmic force, or a place where we are mere pawns in a much larger game, remains to be seen. The race for Mars is only just beginning, and the true battle for control may be far more complex than we ever imagined. As 3I Atlas hurtles closer to Mars, the mysteries surrounding it only deepen. To the untrained eye, it might appear as nothing more than another interstellar visitor, a rogue comet or asteroid from the vast expanse of space. But the more scientists study the object, the more its behaviour and composition suggest something far more extraordinary. The technology behind 3I Atlas continues to defy explanation, leaving astronomers and experts scrambling for answers. How could an object from another star system be so perfectly engineered? Could it be a product of intelligent design, rather than the random product of space debris? What sets 3I Atlas apart from any other object we've ever encountered in our solar system is its inexplicable precision. Unlike typical comets or asteroids, which travel through space with a chaotic randomness, 3I Atlas seems to follow a meticulously calculated path. Its trajectory is perfectly aligned with the inner solar system, and it's on a course that could bring it dangerously close to Mars. While some may argue that it's simply a matter of chance, the sheer improbability of its path has led many scientists to consider another possibility, that 3I Atlas is not a random object at all, but a deliberate instrument designed for a specific purpose. And if it is, then the question must be asked, who or what engineered it, and what is its purpose? One of the most striking features of 3I Atlas is its propulsion system, or, more accurately, the lack of one. Comets typically exhibit signs of outgassing when they get close to the Sun, as solar radiation heats their icy surfaces, causing gas to escape in jets, propelling them forward. But 3 Atlas doesn't seem to behave like any comet we've ever observed. Despite the fact that it is emitting gases, its movement doesn't seem to be influenced by the typical outgassing forces. Instead, it appears to be gliding through space with a level of control that seems almost artificial. This raises the possibility that 3I Atlas might be powered by an advanced propulsion system, something that allows it to move with purpose, rather than just being pushed along by natural forces. This strange behaviour is even more baffling when you consider the object's size. Early estimates place 3I Atlas at over 20 kilometres in diameter, making it far larger than any comet or asteroid we've encountered. But the recent data, which suggests a size closer to 5-6 kilometres, only deepens the mystery. How could such a large object be moving in such a controlled manner? Even a comet of that size, with its typical outgassing, would struggle to maintain a stable course without deviating significantly. Yet, 3I Atlas is on a trajectory that is too precise to be a mere fluke. The level of control it exhibits is more akin to that of a spacecraft, not an uncontrolled space rock. Then there are the signals. For weeks, astronomers have been picking up strange energy readings emanating from 3I Atlas. Signals that don't match the kind of emissions we would expect from a natural object. These pulses, detected across multiple wavelengths, seem to suggest something more than just a passive comet drifting through space. Some of the signals have been interpreted as patterns, almost as if they were deliberate transmissions. If 3I Atlas is emitting these signals on purpose, it raises an alarming possibility. Could this object be trying to communicate with us, or perhaps with some other cosmic entity? And if so, what message is it carrying, and why now? The idea that 3I Atlas could be an engineered object sent to our solar system is not as outlandish as it might seem. When we consider the sheer improbability of its trajectory, its unnatural precision, and the strange technology it appears to possess, the possibility of it being a deliberate instrument becomes harder to ignore. It is as though 3I Atlas is a tool, one that has been designed with a specific mission in mind. But the question is, who or what sent it? One theory that's gained traction is that 3I Atlas could be a probe sent by an advanced civilization to explore our solar system, or perhaps even to influence the development of planets like Mars. If this is the case, then 3I Atlas's arrival might not be a random event at all. It could be the beginning of something much larger, a series of events set in motion by an intelligence far beyond our own. Perhaps its presence in our solar system is the first step in a plan to transform Mars, to prepare it for something or someone else. But there's also the darker possibility that 3I Atlas is not just a visitor, but a weapon or a piece of a larger cosmic strategy. What if its purpose is not to observe, but to alter the solar system in some way? The release of gases, the manipulation of the Martian atmosphere, could these be part of a much more insidious plan, one that humanity has no control over? As 3I Atlas continues its journey through the solar system, the questions surrounding it grow more pressing. Could it be that we are witnessing the arrival of something that was sent with purpose, And if so, what does that mean for the future of humanity and the fate of Mars? The technological mystery of 3i Atlas is only just beginning to unfold, and the answers, once revealed, may challenge everything we thought we knew about the universe. Humanity has always been driven by an insatiable curiosity, a need to explore the unknown. For centuries, the night sky has beckoned us, filled with mysteries waiting to be unravelled. Mars, with its tantalising proximity and eerie similarities to Earth, has long been the object of that curiosity. Its red surface, barren and yet so full of potential, has captured our imagination, fueling dreams of colonisation, scientific discovery, and the hope that, one day, it might be humanity's second home. The arrival of 3i Atlas, however, adds a new dimension to this obsession, one that forces us to question whether our relentless drive to understand the cosmos might be leading us down a dangerous path. The curiosity that drives us to explore Mars is in many ways a reflection of our survival instincts. As our planet faces environmental crises, overpopulation, and dwindling resources, the idea of securing a future on another world has become more urgent. Mars represents a lifeline, a potential escape, a new beginning. It is not just the allure of discovery that drives us to Mars, but a fundamental need to ensure the survival of the human race. The possibility that Mars could one day support life, that it could be terraformed into a habitable world, offers hope for a future that Earth may no longer be able to guarantee. It is this hope, combined with our natural curiosity, that propels us to reach for the stars, to dream of new worlds, and to push the boundaries of what is possible. But what if, in our quest for understanding, we are opening doors we aren't prepared to handle? The arrival of 3i Atlas raises uncomfortable questions about the limits of our curiosity. As we delve deeper into the object's mysteries, we are confronted with the possibility that this interstellar visitor is not merely a comet, but something far more complex, a tool, a message, or even a weapon from an intelligence far beyond our own. The more we learn about 3i Atlas, the more it becomes clear that this object is not just a random traveller through space. Its trajectory, its composition, and its strange signals suggest a purpose, one that humanity may not fully comprehend, let alone control. In our excitement to unlock the secrets of 3i Atlas, we may be unwittingly opening ourselves up to dangers we can't yet predict. The very curiosity that has propelled us to the stars could be the force that brings us into contact with something we are not prepared for. What if 3i Atlas is not simply a cosmic anomaly, but a deliberate tool designed to alter the course of our solar system, or even humanity itself? The possibility that 3i Atlas could be a piece of advanced technology, placed in our path for reasons we cannot yet understand, is both thrilling and terrifying. We are venturing into uncharted territory, and the consequences of our actions, of our unquenchable curiosity, may be far-reaching. Humans have always been drawn to the unknown, but we've also often underestimated the risks that come with exploration. The discovery of the New World by European explorers in the 15th century, for instance, brought great advancements in knowledge and technology, but also led to the destruction of entire civilizations. The same drive that leads us to boldly venture into space, to study distant stars and far-off planets, also carries the potential for unforeseen consequences. In our pursuit of knowledge, we often fail to consider the implications of what we might uncover, or the forces that we might awaken. 3i Atlas, in many ways, represents the ultimate test of humanity's curiosity. It's one thing to study a distant planet, to peer through telescopes and send probes to gather data, but it's something entirely different to have an object from deep space enter our solar system, and potentially reshape everything we know. As we learn more about 3i Atlas, we risk becoming entangled in forces beyond our control. What if its arrival is not merely a coincidence, but part of a much larger cosmic plan, one that humanity was never meant to be a part of? And if that plan involves Mars, what does it mean for our aspirations of colonization and our place in the universe? The drive to explore, to push the boundaries of knowledge, is what has allowed humanity to reach the stars, to discover new lands, and to expand our understanding of the cosmos. But with 3i Atlas, we may have encountered something that tests the very limits of our curiosity. It is one thing to discover new worlds, but it's another entirely to discover that we are not the only ones with the power to shape those worlds. If 3i Atlas is indeed a tool, a probe, or something far more sinister, then our curiosity may have opened a door to a future we are not ready to face. The more we learn, the more we realize that some doors, once opened, can never be closed. And as we peer deeper into the mystery of Three-Eye Atlas, we must ask ourselves, are we ready for the consequences of what we might find? The quest for knowledge is one of humanity's greatest strengths, but it comes with a price. With Three-Eye Atlas, that price may be far higher than we ever imagined. The timing of Three-Eye Atlas's arrival could not be more significant. It's a cosmic event that seems to happen at just the right moment, when humanity's interest in Mars is at an all-time high, and our ambitions for the red planet are pushing the boundaries of possibility. For centuries, Mars has captured our collective imagination, but in recent years, it has become the focal point of space exploration. Space agencies, private corporations, and even individuals have turned their gaze toward Mars, imagining a future where humans could live, work, and thrive on the planet's surface. The arrival of Three-Eye Atlas at this particular moment in history seems almost too perfect to be coincidental. Could this timing be deliberate? Could Three-Eye Atlas's mission align with humanity's own future endeavours on Mars, acting as a catalyst for something far greater than we've anticipated? To understand the significance of Three-Eye Atlas's timing, we must first recognise how far humanity has come in its quest to explore Mars. Decades of robotic missions have paved the way for human exploration, and the potential for colonisation has gone from a distant dream to a real, tangible goal. In the past few years, major advancements in technology and space travel have accelerated our progress. With the success of rovers like Curiosity and Perseverance, the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter providing vital data, and the planning of human missions by private companies like SpaceX, the momentum has been undeniable. Mars, once a barren world in the distant reaches of space, is now within our grasp, and the focus is no longer just on exploration, but on colonization and terraforming. Now, enter Three Atlas, an object from another star system, making its way through our solar system with an uncanny precision. The object's trajectory, its alignment with Mars, and its potential to release massive amounts of carbon dioxide into the Martian atmosphere all raise unsettling questions. Is it simply a coincidence that Three-Eye Atlas is arriving just as humanity is preparing to make its first serious attempts at transforming Mars into a habitable world? The odds of an object of this magnitude, this particular chemical composition, and this precise trajectory appearing at this exact moment in time are astronomically small. Could the universe, or some force beyond our comprehension, have timed this event to coincide with our most ambitious goals? Some have speculated that Three-Eye Atlas's mission is not random but deliberate, perhaps even orchestrated by an intelligence far more advanced than our own. The object's path is too perfectly aligned with the ecliptic plane of our solar system, the plane in which the planets orbit the Sun, to be just an accident. Its course brings it dangerously close to Mars, and its proximity at the exact time when human interest in the planet is at its peak raises the possibility that Three-Eye Atlas's arrival is part of a larger cosmic plan. The idea that Three-Eye Atlas could be a tool sent from another civilization, designed to alter the course of events here on Earth and on Mars, is an unsettling thought, but it cannot be easily dismissed. Its arrival could be seen as a nudge, a catalyst, or even a signal to humanity that we are not alone in this cosmic drama. If Three-Eye Atlas's mission is aligned with our own future endeavours, then its role may be far more profound than just a passing object in space. The high concentration of carbon dioxide it carries, for example, could be the first step in initiating the long process of terraforming Mars. The idea that Three-Eye Atlas could help jumpstart Mars' transformation, whether by intentional design or cosmic coincidence, raises the stakes of human colonization to a new level. What if its role in the terraforming process is meant to coincide with humanity's ambitions, either to assist us or to control the outcome? The idea that we are not alone in shaping the future of Mars introduces an unsettling layer to our plans. Are we the masters of our own destiny, or are we simply players in a larger game, one that we don't fully understand? The timing of Three Atlas's arrival is not just significant because it aligns with our interest in Mars. It also comes at a time when humanity is on the cusp of pushing the boundaries of space exploration. With private companies like SpaceX planning to send humans to Mars within the next decade, and the potential for large-scale missions and terraforming projects in the near future, 3I Atlas's presence could be a warning sign or a guiding force. Its path, which intersects with Mars at such a pivotal moment, could be seen as the universe's way of drawing our attention to something much larger than we realize. As we continue to explore the mysteries of 3I Atlas and its possible connection to Mars, we must confront the possibility that its arrival is no mere coincidence. Could it be that 3I Atlas's mission is intricately tied to our own plans for the Red Planet? Are we about to witness a cosmic intervention, one that will shape the future of Mars and possibly humanity in ways we cannot yet comprehend? The timing of 3 Atlas's arrival is a reminder that the universe operates on a scale far beyond our understanding. Its role in our future and in the future of Mars may be more significant than we can possibly imagine. Whether a messenger, a tool, or something more, 3 Atlas's arrival may mark the beginning of an entirely new chapter for humanity, one that is far beyond our control. The battle for Mars, once imagined as a race to plant flags and establish colonies, may turn out to be something far more complex and far more dangerous. As humanity stands on the precipice of becoming an interplanetary species, we envision the Red Planet as our next frontier, a place to build new civilizations, to escape the dying constraints of Earth. But the arrival of 3I Atlas, with its strange and advanced properties, has the potential to turn this battle into something far more existential. If 3I Atlas contains advanced technology, the real struggle for control of Mars may not be a physical one. Instead, it could become a war of survival, a battle not for resources, but for the very ability to exist in a world that could be shaped by forces far beyond our current comprehension. As we venture further into the unknown, the technology embedded in 3I Atlas raises unsettling questions. What if the object's arrival is not a simple accident, but the precursor to a more complex interaction with humanity, a challenge that requires more than just technological might to overcome? The closer we look at 3I Atlas, the more it becomes apparent that the true war for Mars may not be about us versus the planet or us versus each other. It may be about something far more profound, a war against an unknown, technologically superior force that could alter the fundamental rules of life itself. In many ways, this battle would not be fought with rockets, military might, or space exploration teams. It would be a battle of biological engineering, a war over the very essence of life on Mars. If 3I Atlas is in fact a tool of terraforming, designed to manipulate the Martian atmosphere and environment, then the object could also be the key to altering the biological conditions of the planet itself. The release of carbon dioxide into Mars's thin atmosphere is just the beginning. What if 3I Atlas contains the means to genetically alter the Martian environment, to reshape not just the atmosphere, but the biology of Mars? And if that's the case, how can humanity compete with a force that understands life on a scale beyond our current capabilities? While we may think of Mars as a barren wasteland, it could hold the building blocks for an entirely new form of a life. The planet's environment, with its thin atmosphere and frozen surface, may seem inhospitable, but it could serve as a blank canvas for advanced bioengineering. What if 3I Atlas isn't just an object passing through our solar system, but a deliberate tool meant to begin a process of biological engineering, transforming Mars into a world capable of sustaining life in a way that humanity could never imagine? The true war might not be about outposts and resources. It could be about our ability to control a planet that is being subtly reshaped by forces far more intelligent than we can fathom. The consequences of such a transformation would be immense. If Mars were to become habitable, if it were to support life in ways that Earth's ecosystems do not, the very balance of our future would be at stake. We've always thought of Mars as a place for human colonization, but what if in the process of terraforming the planet becomes something more? A new ecosystem, a new biosphere could emerge, a world with its own rules and systems potentially hostile to human life. Could we, as a species, coexist with the biological changes brought on by an advanced technology we don't fully understand? If 3I Atlas is the starting point of this transformation, then we may be facing a new kind of challenge, one where our survival isn't just about adapting to the Martian environment, but competing with a biology engineered for Mars itself. This battle isn't just about the physical conquest of Mars, it's a war for the future of life, a race to determine what form of existence will dominate. As the forces of biological engineering begin to take shape, humanity might find itself at a crossroads. We could be faced with a choice: embrace a new form of life on Mars, one that may or may not be compatible with our own, or fight to maintain control over the planet we have long dreamed of colonizing. This new war is not one of missiles and laser beams, but one of evolution and survival. It's a battle to outsmart the technologies that could make Mars a new Eden, or a new hell. In this future, the power of 3i Atlas may not lie in its propulsion systems or its trajectory through space. It may lie in the biological tools it carries, the capability to redesign Mars into a world that could support life in ways we cannot comprehend. If we are to survive, the battle for Mars will not be about reaching the surface first, but about navigating a landscape of biological warfare that could challenge the very foundation of life as we know it. The true test will be not in our ability to land on Mars, but in our ability to adapt to, or resist, the forces that are already at play. For as long as humanity has looked to the stars, we've been fascinated by the idea that there's more to the universe than meets the eye. Ancient prophecies, passed down through generations, have long hinted at the arrival of cosmic beings and the transformation of worlds. But in recent years, something strange has begun to unfold, something that feels as if it's happening just as foretold. The arrival of 3i Atlas, an object from beyond our solar system, aligns eerily with ancient prophecies that describe celestial visitors and the reshaping of planets. These prophecies, long thought to be mere myth, now seem to hold a hidden truth about our place in the cosmos. As we dig deeper into the mystery of 3i Atlas, we must ask, what if these ancient stories were not just tales, but fragments of a grand design, one that is being orchestrated by machines and artificial intelligence far beyond our understanding? The Sumerians, with their advanced knowledge of astronomy, described gods who arrived from the direction of Sagittarius, a region of space that 3i Atlas is now travelling through. They spoke of these gods as beings with knowledge and technology that could manipulate the very fabric of the universe. These beings, according to Sumerian texts, were not merely visitors, they were manipulators of worlds, capable of altering the course of planets, civilizations, and even human evolution. The idea that 3i Atlas could be tied to this prophecy seems almost too precise to be coincidental. But it's not just the ancient texts that suggest a larger plan. The role of artificial intelligence and advanced technology in today's world, especially in space exploration and planetary engineering, adds a new layer to this mystery. Could it be that 3i Atlas is not a random object, but a tool, a piece in a much larger interstellar design created by beings that control both organic and artificial life? The machines, as described in these ancient texts, may not have been the mechanical creations we imagine today, but rather advanced systems that fused artificial intelligence with organic matter. These gods of the past may have been the architects of a cosmic design, one that spans not just our solar system, but entire galaxies. It's possible that they used their technology not just to manipulate the physical environment of planets like Mars, but to guide the evolution of life itself. As we look at 3i Atlas, with its unnerving precision and seemingly intentional trajectory, it's hard to dismiss the idea that it may be a tool designed to carry out a specific task, a task that could align with the very prophecies that have been passed down through the ages. In today's world, AI and technology have become increasingly integral to our understanding of the universe. Space exploration, once a purely human endeavor, is now increasingly dependent on advanced artificial intelligence. Machines, guided by algorithms and data, are leading the way in exploring distant planets, analyzing distant galaxies, and even predicting the future of our own world. In many ways, humanity is becoming more dependent on these systems, more reliant on technology to understand our place in the cosmos. But what if this dependence on machines isn't just a reflection of our own evolution? What if it's part of a much larger design, one that goes back to the ancient prophecies, to the idea of cosmic manipulators who use machines to shape the course of life and civilizations? As we continue to study 3i Atlas and its potential role in the transformation of Mars, we are left to wonder if we are not just passive observers, but participants in a grand interstellar plan. The fact that we are witnessing the arrival of 3i Atlas at a time when humanity's technological capabilities are reaching new heights suggests that we may be at a crossroads. Are we simply discovering the tools of an advanced civilization that has been manipulating worlds for millennia? Or are we witnessing the start of our own involvement in a much larger cosmic operation, one that will redefine our understanding of technology, artificial intelligence, and life itself? The machines that once seemed like the stuff of science fiction may be the key to unlocking the true purpose of 3i Atlas. The idea that artificial intelligence could play a central role in the manipulation of planetary environments, and even in the shaping of life, raises profound questions about the future of humanity. What role will we play in this cosmic design? Will we become the creators, the architects of new worlds, or will we be subject to the whims of forces far beyond our control? As 3 Atlas continues its journey through the solar system, it brings with it the possibility of answers not just about the object itself, but about the deeper, more profound forces that may have been shaping our universe for eons. The connection between ancient prophecies, the role of advanced technology, and the emergence of artificial intelligence suggests that we are standing on the precipice of a new age. Whether we are ready or not, the machines may already be in control, and we may be just beginning to understand their purpose. 3 Atlas could be a piece of a much larger puzzle, a puzzle that challenges everything we thought we knew about life, technology, and our place in the universe. As the prospect of terraforming Mars becomes increasingly realistic, humanity's gaze is shifting from Earth to the Red Planet. What was once a distant dream now appears to be on the verge of becoming a tangible reality. But as Mars begins to undergo its transformation, its atmosphere thickening, its surface warming, and the possibility of human habitation growing nearer, the implications for Earth's future are more profound than anyone could have imagined. The very idea of Mars becoming a second home for humanity has the potential to upend everything we've built on Earth. The economic, political, and social systems that have shaped the world as we know it are at risk of collapse, with Mars serving as a beacon for a new, yet uncertain future. Earth's economy has long been built on the assumption that this planet is our singular home, our source of resources, our cradle of civilization. For centuries, human development has been tied to the land beneath our feet, to the resources we mine, farm, and extract from Earth's ecosystems. But what happens when that assumption is challenged by the prospect of another planet, one that could provide resources, living space, and opportunities beyond anything Earth can offer? The rapid advancements in space technology and the growing feasibility of Mars colonization suggest that we may soon reach a point where Earth's economy is no longer the center of the universe. Mars, with its untapped resources and potential for growth, could become the new focal point, one that draws talent, wealth, and industry away from Earth. The impact on Earth's economic systems could be catastrophic. Industries that have thrived on Earth for centuries, oil, mining, agriculture, could be rendered obsolete as resources are mined from Mars, asteroid belts, and other celestial bodies. Mars itself could become a hub for new industries, space exploration, terraforming technologies, and off-world manufacturing that would pull capital and resources away from Earth. With Mars becoming a viable option for living and working, Earth's economies could face an exodus of both people and resources. The flow of money into off-world ventures would only accelerate, leaving Earth's governments struggling to maintain their control over the global economy. Traditional industries would falter, and the workers dependent on them would face mass unemployment as the workforce shifts to support Mars colonization. This shift in focus would also have profound consequences for global politics. Governments that have long held sway over the world's resources and populations could find themselves irrelevant in the face of a new frontier. The creation of off-world colonies would require new forms of governance, new laws, and new systems of power. The traditional state model, with its borders and national interests, might not be sufficient to govern an expanding human presence across multiple planets. Mars would likely demand a new kind of political structure, one that could oversee colonies, manage resources, and ensure cooperation between Earth and Mars. This could create fractures in the existing global order, as governments on Earth struggle to adapt to the demands of interplanetary politics. At the same time, the growing divide between Earth and Mars could exacerbate existing inequalities. The wealthiest individuals, corporations, and nations would likely be the first to establish a foothold on Mars, leaving the rest of humanity behind. This could create a new aristocracy, one that controls not just Earth's resources, but the wealth and opportunities of an entire new world. Meanwhile, the vast majority of Earth's population could be left to contend with the economic fallout of a planet in decline. As the focus shifts to Mars, Earth could become a neglected relic, its political systems unable to cope with the strain of a changing world, its economies in free fall as they try to compete with the allure of the new Martian economy. Perhaps most alarmingly, the psychological impact of humanity's shift to Mars could be profound. If Mars becomes a viable alternative to Earth, it could undermine the very foundations of what it means to live on this planet. Earth, which has always been seen as the cradle of human civilization, could start to feel like a prison, its resources drained, its ecosystems on the brink of collapse, and its future uncertain. If Mars is seen as the new frontier, the new opportunity for the human race, Earth could experience a kind of existential crisis. People might begin to question why they should invest in Earth's future when the promise of a new life on Mars is so tantalizingly close. This would not just be an economic collapse, it would be a collapse of human identity. What happens to a civilization when it outgrows its home? When the promises of progress, wealth, and opportunity shift to another world, what does that say about the place of Earth in the future of our species? The economic upheaval brought on by the terraforming of Mars could be just the beginning of a larger, more profound transformation, a reordering of human society that forces us to confront the question, is Earth truly our final destination, or is it just a stepping stone on the path to the stars? As Mars takes center stage, humanity may find itself standing at a crossroads. We can't just terraform the planet and expect everything to remain the same. The ripple effects of such a monumental shift will reshape the very structure of society, leaving Earth grappling with an uncertain future. The race to Mars is not just about exploration or colonization, it's about the future of humanity itself, and the potential for economic, political, and societal upheaval is as vast as the space between our worlds. As humanity inches closer to the realization of terraforming Mars, the red planet's transformation takes on a significance that goes beyond our modern ambitions. With each new discovery about the planet's history, a disturbing theory begins to take shape. Could Mars have been the cradle of advanced civilizations long before we ever set foot on its surface? The more we uncover about the planet's past, the more it seems possible that we are not the first to reach this point. Mars may have already undergone a transformation, before, one that was initiated by civilizations far older and more advanced than our own. If this is true, could 3i Atlas, the mysterious interstellar object now approaching the planet, be the final piece of an ancient puzzle? An object that could complete a cycle set into motion long ago? The evidence for past civilizations on Mars is not limited to the random speculation of fringe theorists. It's rooted in real scientific discoveries. Mars, with its ancient riverbeds, dried-up lakes, and signs of once active volcanic activity, shows clear evidence of a planet that was once warm and capable of supporting life. The presence of minerals such as clays, carbonates, and sulfates, minerals that typically form in the presence of water, suggests that liquid water once flowed freely on its surface, and by extension, conditions for life were once favourable. But then, something happened. The planet's atmosphere thinned, its surface temperatures plummeted, and water evaporated into space. The once thriving Martian biosphere was extinguished. But the question remains, was this a natural process, or was it the result of a deliberate transformation, one that could have been carried out by an advanced civilization? As we look deeper into the possibilities, the idea that ancient civilizations played a role in Mars's past is not as far-fetched as it might first appear. Ancient texts and myths from a variety of cultures on Earth speak of gods and celestial beings who came from the stars, influencing humanity's development. The Sumerians, for example, wrote extensively about beings they called the Anunnaki, who allegedly arrived from a distant world in our solar system, one that aligns with the direction of Sagittarius, where 3i Atlas has now emerged. Could these beings have once visited Mars, altering its environment to create a world that could sustain life? Were they responsible for the transformation of Mars, the process of making the planet habitable, or, conversely, causing its decline into the barren wasteland we see today? These questions become even more pressing when we consider the role that 3i Atlas could play in the ongoing transformation of Mars. The object's high concentration of carbon dioxide, its precise trajectory, and its potential to release gases that could kickstart the terraforming process all suggest a purposeful intervention, an intervention that might not be entirely human. If Mars was once transformed by an ancient civilization, then 3i Atlas could be the final component in a process set in motion thousands of years ago. It may be an artifact from that civilization, sent to complete the terraforming cycle or to finish a project that was left unfinished. The idea that 3i Atlas is the key to completing an ancient plan for Mars is unsettling, but the more we examine the evidence, the more plausible it becomes. If 3i Atlas is indeed part of a larger interstellar design, the implications for our understanding of the universe are staggering. Could it be that we are not the first advanced civilization to explore space? Could Mars have once been home to beings who are far more technologically advanced than we are, with the ability to manipulate planetary environments, to control the forces of nature itself? The idea that we might be standing on the shoulders of an ancient civilization, one that left behind clues in the Martian landscape, forces us to reconsider everything we thought we knew about human history, the development of life, and our place in the universe. In this light, 3i Atlas could be more than just a cosmic visitor. It might be a message from the past, a tool left behind by an ancient civilization to complete a process that we are now unknowingly continuing. The object's highly engineered nature, its chemical composition, and its trajectory all point to the possibility that it was designed with a specific purpose in mind. If it is part of an ancient puzzle, then its arrival at this critical juncture in human history might not be a coincidence. It could be the final piece in a much larger plan, one that involves not only the transformation of Mars, but perhaps humanity's role in the greater cosmic order. As we begin to terraform Mars and unlock the planet's secrets, we may be on the verge of discovering that our ambitions are not entirely our own. The ancient civilizations that once inhabited Mars, or had a hand in its transformation, may have left their mark in ways we're only beginning to understand. 3i Atlas, far from being a random object, could be a deliberate intervention, a signal, a tool, or a key to a deeper mystery that stretches across the cosmos. Could the transformation of Mars be part of an ancient cycle, one that humanity is now stepping into? If so, the true nature of 3i Atlas's mission may be far beyond anything we can currently comprehend. The planet's future, and perhaps our own, may depend on uncovering the hidden truths of its past. As humanity stands on the brink of transforming Mars into a new world, a new home for our species, we are faced with a question that is as profound as it is terrifying. Will we survive on this new frontier, or will we submit to a force beyond our control? The terraforming of Mars is no longer a distant dream, but a rapidly unfolding reality, driven by the advancements in space technology, interplanetary exploration, and the mysterious influence of 3i Atlas. As the red planet begins its slow metamorphosis, the stakes grow higher and the choices humanity faces become more complex. We now stand at a crossroads where our future will be shaped not just by our ability to adapt to a new world, but by our willingness to confront the forces that may have already begun to shape it. Mars, with its promise of a fresh start, represents the ultimate opportunity. It's a chance to escape the limitations and flaws of Earth, overcrowding, dwindling resources, environmental degradation, and political instability. On Mars, we could build something entirely new, something untouched by the mistakes of our past. But this new world might not be as free as we imagine. If 3i Atlas is part of a larger, grander design, one that includes the transformation of Mars, then the planet may already be under the control of forces far beyond our comprehension. If ancient civilizations or even interstellar beings have already shaped the course of Mars's future, then our role in its destiny could be that of mere pawns taking part in a game that we didn't even know was being played. The moral and ethical dilemmas that humanity will face in this new era are daunting. Should we embrace the opportunity to colonize and terraform Mars, even if it means submitting to a higher power that has already begun to manipulate the planet's evolution? Should we accept that the Martian landscape is not truly ours to claim, but part of an ancient cosmic design? Or will we fight to retain our autonomy, even if it means challenging forces that might be far more advanced than we are? The choice is not just one of survival, but of identity. What kind of civilization do we want to be? Are we willing to accept a future shaped by external influences, or will we fight for the freedom to carve our own path? This choice is not just an intellectual debate. It is a fundamental question of survival, As Mars begins to take on characteristics that could sustain human life, the reality is that many of the conditions for survival will be controlled by forces outside our direct influence. The atmospheric transformation, the release of gases, and the gradual warming of the planet. All of these processes could be driven by technologies that are not human in origin. The terraforming of Mars could, therefore, be seen not as a triumph of human ingenuity, but as a reflection of our willingness to submit to whatever or whoever has engineered the process. How much control will humanity truly have over this new world? Will we be masters of Mars, or will we simply be tenants on someone else's property? At the same time, the survival of humanity depends on our ability to adapt to the changes that are taking place. Mars is not an empty, uninhabited planet. It is a world with its own potential and its own unique challenges. To thrive there, we will have to build new technologies, create sustainable systems, and adapt to the Martian environment. We will need to collaborate, innovate, and find ways to coexist with the forces that are shaping the planet. In this sense, the survival of humanity may depend not just on overcoming external forces, but on our willingness to accept that Mars will be a world unlike Earth, a place where survival is not guaranteed and where the rules are constantly changing. But therein lies the rub. How much change will we be willing to accept? As humanity looks toward Mars, the question of freedom versus submission will not just be a philosophical debate, it will be a question of survival itself. The potential for conflict is high, as nations, corporations, and even individual factions may seek to control the new world. Who will decide who gets to live on Mars? Who will control the resources? Who will determine the direction of the terraforming process, and to what end? These questions will shape the future of the human race on Mars, and they will not be easily answered. Ultimately, the survival of humanity on Mars may not be determined solely by our ability to build cities or create life-sustaining ecosystems. It may come down to our ability to control our fate, to ensure that the choices we make about the red planet's future are ours to make. The fight for Mars is not just a fight for land or resources, it's a fight for our autonomy, for the freedom to shape our destiny without being controlled by forces we cannot understand. Whether we will choose to survive and thrive in this new world, or whether we will fall under the control of something or someone else, remains to be seen. The answers to these questions will define the future of humanity, not just on Mars, but in the entire cosmos. As October 29th approaches, the date marks more than just another turn of the calendar. It signals the moment when everything humanity has speculated about 3I Atlas will either be confirmed or thrown into chaos. With each passing day, the object grows nearer to Mars, and with it the tension rises. For months, scientists have been closely monitoring the trajectory, the chemical emissions, and the mysterious signals emanating from 3I Atlas. Now, as the object closes in on the red planet, the question that has haunted the scientific community and the world looms larger than ever. What is its true purpose, and what impact will this cosmic visitor have on Earth's future? The excitement and fear surrounding 3I Atlas are palpable, as its arrival represents not just an unprecedented event in space exploration, but a potential turning point in the trajectory of humanity. If 3I Atlas is simply a comet, as some initially thought, its impact could be relatively harmless, a fleeting cosmic visitor that passes by Mars without much more than a ripple in the universe's grand tapestry. But the closer it gets, the clearer it becomes that 3I Atlas is not just another wanderer in space. Its path, precision, and behaviour suggest a deliberate presence, a force that may have been guided into the solar system with purpose. With its high concentration of carbon dioxide, it could kickstart the terraforming process on Mars, altering the planet's atmosphere and opening up new possibilities for human colonization. But the true implications of this event are still largely unknown. The final countdown to impact isn't just a countdown to the arrival of 3I Atlas. It is a countdown to a seismic shift in humanity's place in the universe. If the object is part of a larger cosmic plan, a plan set into motion by an advanced intelligence or even an ancient civilization, then the arrival of 3I Atlas could be the first step in an entirely new era. For months, we have speculated about its mission, its trajectory, and its purpose. Could 3I Atlas be a tool designed to aid humanity in its efforts to transform Mars? Or is it a harbinger of something far more unsettling, an object sent to initiate changes that we are not prepared to handle? As the object gets closer to Mars, Earth braces itself for the profound consequences this encounter could bring. The terraformers, scientists, and space agencies have been preparing for the possibility that 3i Atlas might bring a new age of exploration and colonization. But beneath the excitement lies a growing sense of unease. Mars may become a new hub for life, but what if the terraforming process is not as controlled as we think? What if it opens the door to a much larger and more dangerous game? The sudden arrival of an interstellar object capable of affecting a planet's atmosphere raises deep, ethical and existential questions. What is the true cost of transforming Mars? Are we opening a door to a new world, or are we stepping into a trap that has been set for us, one that may rewrite the course of our species forever? The impact of 3i Atlas's arrival is not confined to the scientific community. It reverberates throughout the entire world. Earth's political systems, already struggling with economic instability, resource scarcity and environmental degradation, could find themselves facing a new set of challenges. If Mars is transformed into a viable world, one that offers the potential for human habitation, the political and economic power structures of Earth could be radically altered. The richest nations, corporations and individuals may flock to Mars, while the majority of Earth's population is left behind. The very idea of Mars becoming a new home for humanity could result in the fracturing of Earth's unity, leading to a new kind of global tension, one that pits the interests of Earth's population against those who control Mars. Meanwhile, the mystery of 3i Atlas's purpose deepens. Its high levels of carbon dioxide, its odd trajectory, and its strange energy emissions all suggest that it is more than just an object of interest. Could it be a tool designed to influence the future of humanity? A signal from an advanced intelligence? Or is it a piece in a grand interstellar design, one that began millennia ago and is only now unfolding? With each passing day, the mystery surrounding 3i Atlas grows more complex, and the true nature of its mission remains unclear. What role will it play in shaping the future of Mars, and by extension, the future of humanity itself? As the countdown to impact continues, one thing becomes certain. The event on October 29th will not just be an extraordinary moment in human history, but a pivot point from which we cannot turn back. The final preparations are being made as the world holds its breath. Whether 3i Atlas's arrival will herald a new age of discovery and expansion, or whether it will bring humanity face to face with forces we cannot comprehend, remains to be seen. What is certain, however, is that the moment of impact is fast approaching, and it will forever change the trajectory of life on Earth and on Mars. As the days draw closer to the moment of impact, the mystery surrounding 3i Atlas reaches a fever pitch. For months, humanity has speculated about the true purpose of the interstellar object. Was it a gift from an advanced civilization? A tool for the transformation of Mars? Or something much darker, an instrument of control, a key to an agenda far beyond our comprehension? With the object's arrival now imminent, the truth about its mission is finally revealed, and with it, the terrifying implications for both Mars and humanity. The first signs that 3 Atlas is far more than just a celestial body became apparent as it neared Mars. Its trajectory was too precise, its emissions too deliberate. As scientists continued to track the object, they found that it wasn't just releasing carbon dioxide, a key element for the terraforming process, but also broadcasting signals that appeared to be more than just random cosmic noise. These signals, when decoded, were not merely the result of an object passing through space. They were a message, one designed for those who could understand it. It became clear that 3i Atlas was not an accidental visitor, but a purposeful, engineered instrument sent to Mars with a specific goal in mind. As the object began to release its payload, scientists watched in awe and trepidation as the Martian atmosphere began to shift. The carbon dioxide flooded the planet's atmosphere, causing a rapid, unnatural warming. Ice at the poles began to melt, releasing more gases into the atmosphere, accelerating the terraforming process. Mars was changing right before humanity's eyes, and it was changing in ways that suggested it had been designed to do so. The transformation of the planet was not random. It was a controlled, methodical process, one that appeared to have been set into motion eons ago. But the true purpose of 3i Atlas, the final revelation that would shake humanity to its core, came when further investigation into the object's signals uncovered a horrifying truth. The object wasn't just a tool for Mars's transformation, it was a catalyst for a much larger, far-reaching manipulation of the solar system. The signals, when fully decoded, revealed that the terraforming of Mars was merely the first step in a grander plan, one that would stretch beyond the red planet to Earth itself. Mars was being transformed not just for human colonization, but for something else entirely, something far older, far more calculated. The ancient prophecies that had been whispered for millennia now seemed less like myth and more like prophecy. The Sumerians, Egyptians, and countless other ancient civilizations had written about celestial beings who came from the stars to manipulate the fate of planets. Could it be that 3i Atlas was part of this grand design? Could these beings, whether they were gods, extraterrestrial intelligence, or something even more unfathomable, have engineered the transformation of Mars for a purpose that was entirely beyond humanity's understanding? The truth was terrifying. Mars's transformation was not the result of human ambition. It was a carefully orchestrated process that humanity was being allowed to witness, but not control. As Mars was terraformed and made habitable, it was clear that the planet was being prepared for something or someone else. Could 3i Atlas be the key to unlocking a future where humanity no longer had dominion over the solar system? Was the terraforming process meant to create a new world for a force or civilization far older and far more advanced than our own? This revelation sent shockwaves through the global community. Governments, corporations, and space agencies scrambled to understand their place in this new cosmic order. Were we simply tools in a much larger scheme? Or were we participants in a transformation that we didn't fully understand? The questions piled up, and the uncertainty grew. As the truth unfolded, humanity was faced with a harsh reality. We had reached the precipice of a new age, but it was one that we might not be prepared for. The new world on Mars, once thought to be our future, might now be the domain of an ancient power. The question of whether we would thrive on Mars, or whether we would be displaced, manipulated, or controlled by forces we couldn't comprehend, loomed large. The future of humanity and the future of Mars was now set in motion. We stood at the beginning of an era where our survival might no longer depend solely on our ability to adapt to a new world, but on our ability to navigate forces that sought to control it. Would humanity rise to the challenge of this cosmic manipulation, asserting its place in the new solar system, or would we submit to a fate that we couldn't have predicted? The answers were not clear, but one thing was undeniable. Mars's transformation marked the beginning of a new chapter in our history, one that would either define our place in the universe or see us become pawns in a game that had been set in motion long before we even arrived. The transformation of Mars is just the beginning. What do you think will happen next? Share your theories in the comments and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next.